Hello and welcome. Can people hear us? Should we start now?
Yeah, there's people still entering, Julie.
Okay.
So
sorry,
give it a moment.
I can only see limited things because I had my slides.
So there's attendees kind of jumping in now. So I guess.
And we'll just maybe wait, 2 or 3 minutes and let people join, and then we'll get started, I think.
Just to confirm that you can hear us, for those of you attending, you can either just put a little comment in the chat or raise your hand just as a test. That's fantastic. I see a few hands raised. Great. Thank you very much for that.
Great. I see we have about 18 participants.
Yes.
People might join, I guess, maybe a little bit late if they're.
So Julie, I'll sit in the background. As I said in the chat, for anyone who has questions, we'll have a Q&A at the end, but you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, and we can invite them to turn on their mics and ask the question, or I can facilitate the queries to yourself and myself, Julie. So
yeah, perfect. Thanks, John.
So Julie, I'll hand over to you.
Great, thanks, John. So you're all very welcome here this afternoon to this information session on our Postgraduate Diploma in Engineering for Climate Action offered by Trinity College Dublin. So thank you for joining today. The idea today is to give you information about this Postgraduate Diploma and to answer any questions or queries that you may have in relation to either the content of the course or the delivery of the course or the application process. So I'm going to give a relatively short presentation, an overview of the diploma, and kind of go through the content and the delivery. And then following that, as John said, we will have a Q&A session. Now this session is being recorded, and I hope that's fine for everyone who's here today. And I suppose it means that we'll make that available on our website following the session. And for anyone who wants to watch it again and recap on what we've gone through, you can do that. Or if anyone wishes to share it with others who weren't available to attend today, we can do that. And as John says, please feel free to use the chat if you have questions as we go through. You can make use of that, and we will go through them then following the presentation. And I know there were a few queries submitted as part of the registration process, and we will address those questions as well. So just firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Julie Clark. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering at Trinity College Dublin. And I'm course coordinator for this diploma. And I'm joined today by Dr. John Gallagher, who will speak shortly, who's also an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Structure and Environmental Engineering, who is the course director for this program. So I've included both of our email addresses there and also our Twitter links. So please feel free if you still have queries following today, or if you'd like to discuss your individual application or potential application for this diploma, please feel free to reach out and send us an email. So what I'll cover briefly in this presentation, I'm going to talk very briefly about how this diploma fits within our broader range of postgraduate diploma offerings at Trinity College. And then I'll introduce the program specifically, Engineering for Climate Action. I'm going to talk about the course content in a little bit of detail and also the delivery mode. and then we'll talk about your learning experience and life after the course. So this is one of 8 diplomas that we offer in the School of Professional Engineering Studies. Right, so it says 1-year diplomas, but we do, and I'll talk through this in a moment, we do offer a part-time option for this Engineering for Climate Action postgraduate diploma as well. So it's either a 1-year full-time or 2-year part-time diploma. It's new. It was developed. It's been in development since about 2020, and we've run one full academic term of it. So this year, starting September 22, will be our second iteration of this postgraduate diploma, and it ran very successfully last year with some excellent feedback from the students. So as I mentioned, this is our second year running. And I suppose the whole idea around this postgraduate diploma was to develop a postgraduate course that supports climate action. And I suppose many of you will be aware and familiar with the need for skills and knowledge in this topic of climate action, both in Ireland and abroad. We've seen the development of and the release of the Climate Action Plan in Ireland, a newer version last year. Many the local authorities around the country have their own climate action plans, and indeed many other private industry and organisations are developing and trying to implement climate action plans. So there's a significant need for skills and knowledge in this area to support and to implement climate action. So we wanted to develop a course that provides graduates with the necessary skills to facilitate both the development of climate action plans and the implementation of climate action plans. And I'll talk through what that involves in a bit more detail later on. What's important for this course and what we saw is really important to students who are looking at this course is that it provides a flexible and accessible learning experience. So many people who opt for this course may indeed be in either full-time or part-time employment, and so having a flexible educational experience is very important. And again, I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later in terms of the delivery of the course. And we see this course having significant benefits for students and their employers. So for maybe people who are in a current role and looking to upskill and offer additional knowledge and skills to their existing employer, you know, this course caters towards that. But equally, those who are perhaps looking to move careers, have a change in their career, it provides the skills and the knowledge to enable you to do that. So, so for many of you might be aware that this is a course that is run and offered by the School of Engineering at Trinity College Dublin. That's not to say it's limited to engineers, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. But I suppose why it's being offered by the School of Engineering is because we see that there's a huge role for engineers in terms of I suppose implementing climate action. You know, engineers, and as I say, as it states here, promote the actions required in engineering practice to improve, sustain, and restore the environment. So we have a very important role as engineers. And of course, in terms of climate action, you know, there's solutions across various sectors, including transport, the built environment, energy, electricity generation, where engineers have a significant role and where their contribution in terms of mitigation of emissions and also adaptation to a changing climate is key. So we saw that there was a gap in terms of, I suppose, the skills and knowledge that engineers and others working in related disciplines need to be able to support climate action. So this is at the heart of the programme. You know, I suppose we focus on climate action, but we do take a broader perspective as well in terms of sustainability, environmental considerations across everything we do. And ultimately, we want to support the creation of a low carbon and resilient society. I see there's questions coming in, and maybe John can keep an eye on them. John, if there's anything urgent as I go through, I can stop, but otherwise I'll address those questions at the end.
Yeah, for the moment we're okay. We'll keep going.
Great, thanks. So a little bit more specifically about who this course may be targeted at, or who it might be applicable to. So for individuals who have recently taken up or who would like to transition into a new role with responsibility for sustainability and climate action within organizations. So this, could include a broad range of organizations, from local authorities to private industry, so that there is a broad range, and there a broad need that has been highlighted and actually very recently for the need for skills and knowledge in this area. And it will allow the skills of the individual to be advanced to support climate action through a multidisciplinary program with a core engineering lens. So as I mentioned already, while the course is offered by the School of Engineering, it's not limited to engineers only, and the content isn't limited to engineering related subjects. It's a multidisciplinary course, and I'll talk a bit about that later, but we do bring in elements from focus on psychology and business as well, which we feel are needed in conjunction with the engineering subjects to produce I suppose the graduates that we aspire to produce. It's a blended learning program, so that the program is delivered in a blended manner. And what that means is it's a mixture of online and face-to-face delivery. So we feel, again, that's very important, particularly for those who are in either full-time or part-time employment, and even for those who choose either the 1 year full-time route for the diploma or the 2 year part-time route. And that people have flexibility in terms of their experience. So many of the lectures will be either recorded online or held online, such as this, either using Zoom or Teams or another online platform. And then we also offer some in-person, face-to-face lectures and tutorials, which we feel is important. And they don't necessarily they're not necessarily compulsory for people to attend, but we do encourage it. I suppose it provides students with an opportunity to meet other students, to engage a little bit better with the lectures, etc. I'll talk again about that later. So in terms of the course content, the program, it is 6 ECTS. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this idea of concept of ECTS, for any of you, or for all of you who have done an undergraduate degree, in general, a module in university is 5 ECTS. So we have 7 modules, and they range in terms of their ECTS from 5 to 20. And the majority of our assessment is coursework, so continuous assessment with just 1 examination. And we feel this is important for a postgraduate diploma of this nature, an appropriate mode of assessment. Kind of the continuous assessment, I think it's more manageable for students. It kind of allows for that engagement throughout the semester, so most of the workload is coursework rather than exams and just 1 examination. As I mentioned already, it's delivered in a blended manner, so a mixture of online, blended, and face-to-face. And as I said already, there's an option of 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time. And then just to highlight again, it's a multidisciplinary program, although offered by the School of Engineering, Business and Psychology. And there's a link there down at the bottom of the slide to the diploma website on our civil engineering department page. So many of you may be wondering about when lectures and tutorials take place, or how they take place. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this now. So we offer this diploma outside of standard working hours, as we recognise that many of the applicants, many of our students are either in full-time or part-time employment. So we feel that's very important. And the course runs during term time, so generally September to April. So for the part-time, for people that opt for the part-time route over 2 years, the requirement, or I suppose the commitment, is roughly 4 hours per week. In year 1, it will generally consist of 2 weekday evenings, And then in year 2, it'll be every 2 weeks. You will have Friday evenings and Saturday morning sessions. And again, there'll be a mixture of online and face-to-face. Then for the full-time option, so those who decide to do the diploma in 1 year, there is a commitment in terms of lectures and tutorials of approximately 8 hours per week. And that will be, that's run over 2 or 3 evenings a week. And then some, so every 2 weeks, Saturday morning sessions as well. So there's little asterisks there. I've just highlighted, so those 4 and 8 hours, they're sort of the core hours in terms of the the lectures and tutorials. But I suppose on top of that, you need to consider time for independent learning elements. So, your own reading, you're doing your coursework, there may be discussion boards that you need to respond to, some group work, some, coursework preparation. So it's worth bearing that in mind as well. All right. So in terms of the entry requirements, I know we've had a few queries on this already. What the programme requires is an honours degree at level 8 in a STEM subject, or architecture or another related discipline. So that's really our guiding principle. But if you're unsure about your previous education or your eligibility, please come and talk to us, because we can consider your application on a case-by-case basis. So please do come and talk to us and ask and let us know what your background is. So for this year, the deadline, so it's open at the moment for applications, and the deadline is the 31st of July this year. So please just bear that in mind if you do plan on applying, that deadline will come around pretty quickly. So it is open on our website. So the link down there at the bottom, there's a little section on where to apply, and it'll direct you to the application process. And again, if you have any trouble either finding that or with the application process, please do send us an email. So I'd like to talk a little bit more now about the content of this postgraduate diploma in engineering for climate action. And I'm going to look at the modules that we offer as part of this course. So as I mentioned already, there's 7 modules that we offer. The Sustainable Green Organization, which is focused on psychology aspects, Entrepreneurship for Climate Action, offered by the Business School, Introduction to Engineering for Climate Action, Life Cycle Assessment for Engineering Practice, Engineering for the Environment, Engineering for Climate Action, Mitigation and Adaptation, and Energy Management and Efficiency. And you'll see there there's sort of a gap between the first 5 modules and the final 2. And I suppose for students who opt for the part-time 2-year route, you will complete the first 5 in the first year and the second, and then the last 2 in the second year. So that's why there's a gap there. So I'm going to talk a bit about each of those modules now. So the Sustainable Green Organization, as I mentioned a couple of times now, that the program is multidisciplinary, and we do draw upon our other schools in Trinity College to bring in additional, I suppose, educational pieces that we feel are important for this overall course. So the Sustainable Green Organization, it's run by our School of Psychology in Trinity College Dublin. It's worth 5 ECTS. It's run online. And this, I suppose, addresses the very important socio-technical dimensions of becoming either sustainable individuals or a sustainable organization. And what this module addresses is it contextualizes the organization's role and individual decision-making in terms of climate action, of course, and it addresses services, infrastructure and policies in society, and the physical infrastructure and technological environment. So it really addresses that social dimension of climate action, which is very important, in addition to all the, I suppose, technical solutions that we understand behavioural change and the need and what drives behavioural change at individual and also at an organisational level. So as I mentioned already, it's run online, combination of online learning and interactive webinars, and the assessment consists of an individual project. So the next module I'd like to speak about briefly is entrepreneurship for climate action. So this is the other sort of multidisciplinary component to the course run by Trinity's Business School. And again, we feel what this course offers is important in terms of the broader programme. I suppose it is for those who are looking to foster new business opportunities that they have identified linked with climate action. It will provide students with the knowledge and the skills to do that. So it is the module outlines the role of entrepreneurship in sustainability and climate action. And the module discusses and enhances students' entrepreneurial ideas to support climate action. It draws upon the experience of academic experts, international entrepreneurs and consultants, and the capacity to manage entrepreneurial projects in a variety of organizational settings. And from this year, I think the students have enjoyed the psychology and business aspects to the program. And this is run in a blended manner, and it's assessed according to a business plan and presentation. Moving on, our Engineering for Climate Action module, also delivered in a blended manner. So this is 2 by 10 ECTS, and I suppose this differs depending on the route you take, whether you choose to do the 1-year full-time diploma or the diploma over 2 years part-time. But in essence, the content is the same, regardless of which route you take, and it focuses on the development of climate action plan in an organisation. And this is a really key module for the overall course. I suppose we want to provide students with the skills and knowledge to be able to develop and implement a climate action plan. And this offers you the opportunity to do this in through the course, through the programme. And I suppose that the climate action plan generally, the student would either develop it in conjunction with maybe a current employer or a new industry partner for maybe an industry that they wish to move into. And it aligns the goals of climate action plan with other local, national and global strategies, which is obviously very important. It also integrates stakeholders' perspectives that could be within the organisation that you're developing it for, or without beyond that organisation, and defines methods of measurement and assessment. So I suppose an important aspect of this course as well, it's not just developing climate action plans, but also developing skills within the students in terms of measuring and monitoring performance in terms of climate action. This module again is delivered in a blended manner, and the assessment consists of a variety of forum discussions, stakeholder surveys, oral presentations, and your final climate action plan or project. Then I move on to the last 2 modules that I mentioned. Life cycle assessment for engineering practice. So this is a more core engineering module. And it provides students with an overview of life cycle assessment in the circular economy, to be able to assess the environmental impacts of products and systems to make informed decisions. I don't know, John, this is offered by John Gallagher. John, would you like to mention anything specifically about this module?
Thanks, Julie. I suppose life cycle assessment is a key tool moving forward in engineering systems and how we assess their embodied carbon, but also the value of the resources that's in it, their water footprint, etc. So it's a very important learning. The learning outcomes from this module really are to help you quantify and provide evidence around the performance of your product, and that can then learn to be translated into designing better, designing for more circularity, designing for low carbon, etc. So other than that, that's, I suppose, a brief synopsis of why this module fits within climate action.
Thanks, John. And I think I mentioned already, I suppose, that the course is focused on climate action, but we do, I suppose, see the importance of having a broader environmental perspective. So I suppose it's when we're looking at climate action solutions that we do, for instance, consider the life cycle assessment of a product or service, and we don't consider one maybe a technical solution in isolation, but we look at the broader picture of, you know, the resources it uses and what happens at the end of the life cycle, etc. So as John said, it is a very important module. And moving on then to the final module that I talk a little bit about in detail is the Engineering for the Environment module, which I actually deliver myself. And this is, I suppose, quite important in terms of, I suppose, mitigation and adaptation. So reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but also adapting systems or buildings or infrastructure or sectors to the changing climate. So as part of this course, we look at levels of emissions associated with various sectors, I suppose those most relevant to engineers or related disciplines, so buildings, transport, electricity generation. We look at mitigation technologies and solutions, renewable energy, for instance, and then also, I suppose, methods of assessing climate change impacts across various sectors. That could be the built environment, it could be a transport network, it could be an agricultural sector. So looking at what the changing environment means for sectors and how we as I suppose engineers or in climate action roles, we can adapt to our changing climate and implement adaptation planning measures to ensure a resilient sector or resilient society. Again, this is delivered in a blended manner, a combination of online and face-to-face, and the assessment is continuous group presentation, climate mitigation and adaptation assignments. Oh, sorry, I thought that was the last one. No, and so we have then our final module that I've discussed, energy management and efficiency. And this is an extremely important module as well. And this is actually run over 2 semesters, and you'll see there it's 20 ECTS, so it's quite a large portion of the course. And this is extremely important, I suppose, for to understand, I suppose, energy, and there's a renewed focus recently in relation to energy security, but also I suppose we want to be able to provide students with the skills in terms of measurement and managing energy, whether that's in buildings or you know, beyond that. So it provides a focus on energy physics, resources, climate change and the environment. It provides sectoral perspectives of energy demands in society. And we look at energy consumption and reduction through efficiency measures. And also the course looks at energy economics, policy, legislation and energy markets. So this is offered in a blended manner as well. Generally, it'll be provided on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. And the assessment consists of an energy demand project, building energy demand project, and this is the module where there is where there's the one exam. So your learning experience overall, I suppose, what will this course provide you with, and how is it delivered? I suppose it's a next generation, what we would see as a next generation teaching and learning experience. As I said before, it's delivered in a blended manner, so online content and live lectures. So some of them are recorded, allowing you to watch them in your own time. Others will be likes of this, more webinar style, and they tend to be the tutorials online as well, where the lecturer may host a tutorial session or indeed a lecture, and I suppose there's a little bit more interaction, but all of those are recorded as well, so that if you can't make a certain lecture or tutorial, you can watch it in your own time. And then, as I said as well, we do have in-person, which we feel is important for, I suppose, meeting other students on the course and having further engagement with lectures. It's a mix of student and research-led teaching, peer-to-peer and problem-based learning. We use a range of interactive tools as part of the course, so online discussion boards, live Q&A webinars with lectures, videos, etc. and there's the frequent availability of teaching staff to discuss the material and to address any issues. And on that, I should probably also mention the range of supports offered in Trinity College Dublin to our students, both our undergraduate and postgraduate students. And I think particularly for postgraduate students who I suppose are opting for these blended courses where they may spend the majority of time through their educational experience of it online or some in person, that you're aware of those supports. We've a really good range of supports in terms of library services, in terms of IT, in terms of wellness, and student support services there. So I think if you go online to Trinity College Dublin's website and just type in student support services, there is a list of them there, and I think it's great to be aware of them. You know, we're aware that many people who take this course may be either in full or part-time employment, they have family commitments, and that, you know, if you choose to take it and problems arise, that, you know, there's always someone there to talk to and to reach out to us. And I think it's important. And then of course, in terms of your coursework and assignments, the range of library services, IT services, etc., is very important. So I've just included 2 student testimonials that were provided in relation to this course specifically. So one student said, "I recently completed Trinity's Postgraduate Diploma in Engineering for Climate Action. Throughout the course, the standard of lectures, online and offline resources, and personal tutorials was excellent. I now appreciate why TCD enjoys such a celebrated reputation." So that was very nice to hear. And then a second student said, "The engineering element of the course prepared me for immediate implementation in my role as a consultant engineer. I've been able to expand my client base due to the demand for climate action and sustainability expertise." And that is great to see. I suppose students or graduates benefiting from the course almost immediately in their current role, but then being able to expand their role into a new client base through the skills and knowledge that they've gained from the programme. And I suppose that leads me to you know, life after this course or career prospects affiliated with this course. And we intend to develop graduates who have the capacity to be climate action leaders by advancing their knowledge, developing professional skills, and attaining an engineering qualification. And it will allow you to address the multidisciplinary challenge of climate action effectively and with confidence. So again, I've included the link there, or you can search for Engineering for Climate Action in Trinity College Dublin if you wish to find out more information or apply. So that leaves me just to say thank you for listening to that presentation. Again, I've included our contact email details there, both of my email and John's emails, and our Twitter links, and then the link to the program details and how to apply. So now I'm going to open up the floor to questions and answers, which I'm sure there will be some. I see the chat function there has a few notifications. So we might just start.
Yes, Julie. So there's been a number of questions coming in. I might start by inviting, if everyone is okay, to turn on their mics, starting with the first person that put up a few questions, and it was John Venier. John, I'm going to just allow you to talk if you wouldn't mind. I might have responded to a few of your questions, but I see you have another one mentioned there, so I'm just handing over if you want. You have control. Hi, John. We can hear you. You have your microphone on if you want to.
Yep. Seems it might work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, nice to meet you all. Yeah, I don't have many questions. The question was about the entrepreneurship project. It might be interesting for applicants to highlight why they would be students, you know, and how the project they might have could be. Some of the students might be sent by their own organization or employer anyway also. So anyway, it was one of the questions I had, how to highlight the project in the application.
Okay, maybe I'll answer that, Julie. So within the typical application form, you have to submit a letter of reasons why you're interested in this course. And I suppose from the perspective of the modules that we offer, how might that support an entrepreneur in this field? So for example, the Entrepreneurship for Climate Action module offered by the business school, you develop a business plan. So what we'd like to see is how this might link to your day job and how that supports perhaps. Also based on the range of coursework that we offer around mitigation, around adaptation as Julie's module, around life cycle assessment by myself and assessing maybe the circular performance of products and systems. Perhaps do you see links between your daily activity, your daily work, and the coursework that we will assign, and how can you be mutually beneficial to you? To give an example, I suppose Julie can maybe come in after. One of our graduates, that's finishing this year, through the program, implemented new sustainability committees, undertook a lot of assessments within their company, and it created kind of it accelerated a lot of sustainability and climate action focused activities within their organization. So really in your application, what we'd like to see is that you could see the benefit to you and your company, or you as an individual, but do think about how there's connectivity between you moving forward and how the course can help you in that sense as well. Julie, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I suppose it's as you say in the application, we'd like to see that, but I suppose it's up to the student then in terms of we do encourage that link with industry, but I think in terms of how much they want to align it either with the current employer or future employer. But I think from our students this year, or our soon-to-be graduates, we have seen, as you've mentioned, John, the benefits of really tailoring some of the course components to a specific organization, and how that can bring across immediate change within the organization. And now that graduate can, in their role, build upon that, and they have the knowledge and skills to, and they've already initiated the process in terms of developing a climate action plan and a sustainability committee and various other big changes within the organization, and now they can continue to build on that following their graduation from this course. So I think it's there is scope there to significantly engage with either a current or a new employer. And I think, it is up to individual. Obviously, we will have people from in different situations, but there is scope there to have a significant contribution to an organization.
So John, one or two other questions on chat around carbon offsetting and talking about regulations around this and climate action and what we deal with. So John, in relation to that, we touch upon not in depth, say climate, the climate market, like the carbon market. We also do deal with the regulations, the governing aspects. I suppose it's a huge, climate action is a huge topic. So are we touching upon agriculture? Are we talking about industry? Are we talking about every sector? So we do give a kind of a broad overview of different sectors. I suppose then again, we do set coursework, and we give you the tools to allow you to focus in on a sector maybe that you have a specific preference on as well, rather than maybe an overarching depth to each sector. Julie, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that answers the question, John.
So a few other questions here. I might just invite people to join us. Now, there's someone here that's called Anonymous Attendee that's had one or two good questions, but I can't identify who they are in the chat. So I might just read it out, Julie, and you can answer, although I've responded anyway, but just in case anyone hasn't seen it. Can this course be completed entirely online? And well, if not, could you give a clear idea of how many face-to-face sessions would be required? They're not in the Dublin area.
Yeah, so I'll answer that one, John. So I suppose yes, all of our as I said, so we have a mixture of recorded sessions, which obviously can be watched in your own time online. We have a mixture of webinars such as this style, which are, you can attend online, or if you can't attend at that specific time, they're recorded and you can watch them in your own time. And then even the face-to-face, we record them as well, and you can attend virtually. I suppose for the face-to-face, we do encourage that people can attend where possible. And I think from this year, the students really, I suppose, saw the benefit of those face-to-face sessions in terms of linking up with other students, and engaging and having that personal element in terms of lectures, that they just engage a little bit more. Excuse me, but there is certainly the option of completing it all online if you wish.
And just a follow-up for that individual, and maybe I can answer this. It's around in the application you require academic references. So that's a default of Trinity system. For postgraduate diplomas, you can have professional references. So just to note, for anyone that's considering applying, and the default for applying for Trinity programs is academic references. For postgraduate, we have no distinction or preference around that, just two references from a professional body or a professional individual or academic, as long as they're dated and signed within the past academic year, the last 12 months. So that's the only requirement. Audrey, I know you have a question. I might allow you to talk if you want. I'll just press that. So if you want to turn off mute, you're welcome to ask the question that I see you've posed.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Julie, for the presentation. Basic one, really, just trying to understand, if you do it over 2 years, you say it goes from September to April, how many terms does that cover and how many weeks per term are there?
Yeah, so there will be term before Christmas, so generally the end of September to Christmas, and then so that's semester 1, and then semester 2, which is after Christmas, January till April. And within each of those semesters, there's 12 weeks. So there's 12 weeks of, I suppose, coursework of lectures and tutorials, and then that's followed by, I suppose you just have one exam, but it's followed by an examination period, or I suppose time if you have coursework that you're still working on to complete, depending on the deadlines for those individual pieces of coursework. But in general, the commitment for lectures and tutorials is that the 2 semesters per year, if you're doing the part-time option, of 12 weeks. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge commitment, but I suppose during the term time it can be fairly full on when you get into it and your coursework starts building up and you have lots of lectures and tutorials. So it's just good to be mindful of that.
Okay, thank you. And just a quick, do the modules run sequentially? So you start module 1 in semester 1, you do all the coursework and the continuous assessment, then that one finishes, then you move on to module 2.
No, they run consecutively. So as I said, if you're going for the 2-year part-term option, in year 1, you'll have 5. Now, some of them will be in semester 1, some of them in semester 2, and some of them run across the 2 semesters. But at any one time, you'll certainly have more than one. I'd say you probably have, I'm trying to think. John, do you know off the top of your head maybe what the maximum number of modules at any one time running would be?
So the maximum would be 3, but our main structure is for the part-time, we have 2 in semester 1, 2 in semester 2, and one module that kind of carries across the 2. And it's the same then for the second year of the part-time diploma. Forgive me, I'm focusing on the part-time, where you have one that the 2 run both through both semesters. So I suppose, Audrey, I don't know if you have a preference of part-time or full-time, but we would have designed it so that the coursework is quite incremental between all the programs as well, to avoid overload at certain times.
That's great, thank you.
And I suppose just one other note from your first question, we're just finalising the timetable for next year. You'd start in mid-September, and you would be complete in the first semester in the last weekend of November. So December doesn't have any contact time, and then you're back in mid-January, right up to I think it might be Easter week, or the week after Easter. There might be a break of Easter itself. So that's the rough timeline for 22-23.
Thank you.
No problem. So there's been a few questions, Julie, around applications and capacity to do it from outside Ireland, whether
Yes.
across EU countries or beyond. Do you want to field that response, and I'll.
Yeah, so we the course is open to both EU applicants and non-EU applicants. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that the course fees differ for EU and non-EU applicants, and they are available. If you click on the link there, it'll direct you to there is a section where it says the course fees, and it gives you can click on a link and you can scroll down to the course, and it gives you the exact fees for EU and non-EU applicants. So I suppose, yes, it's open to all applicants, but that's just worth noting that the fees differ for non-EU applicants.
Thanks, Julie. So there's a few people querying, I suppose, their qualifications and accessibility. I noticed, Declan, you've had one or two questions, so I might turn on your microphone. You can choose what your preference, but I think it was more just about your fit, perhaps. So if you just want to comment, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, thank you, and thanks for the presentation. Yeah, it was just about my fit, really. As you see in my question, I did an environmental science degree. I have an MSc in environmental science with legislation and management. That was quite a long time ago, in 2002. I've been working as an energy manager and an energy consultant for quite a long time, and I'm wondering if is the content suitable for people who are already in working in this field, or is it more geared towards people wanting to get into it? My motivation is just to just to develop myself. It's been a long time since I've done anything formal education wise, and I don't want to take on a course where I'm not saying you probably come across a lot of students who think they know it all, but is there enough new stuff in there?
I would say, Declan, certainly yes. I know from this year's cohort of students, we had a student with a similar background to yourself, and they from the feedback we received, they benefited and learned a huge amount. I suppose we do have those mixture of, as I mentioned, the multidisciplinary nature of the course. So there is an opportunity to broaden your skill set, but also within your own, I suppose, core field. There is certainly scope to, it's a postgraduate course, the level that we pitch it at. We are cognizant that, there may be people from non-engineering backgrounds, but the STEM degree, and so we are cognizant of that through the delivery of our lectures. But at the same time, we intend to build, we bring in a lot of industry experts. We focus on very recent technologies and changes and what's happening in terms of emissions across sectors. It's very much kept up to date, and then of course through your projects and your coursework, it allows for that flexibility between students to focus on and also get the guidance from the lecturers and the tutors in terms of the skills that they want to develop through particular pieces of coursework, whether that's through the climate action project or stakeholder engagement activities, etc. So I would really say yes, certainly I would think your background is ideal for this program. And if there's specific pieces of the course, maybe modules that you'd like to talk to us in a bit more detail to see, what you know already, what you have covered already, or the new pieces that it would offer, please feel free to contact us and we can give you that information.
Cool. I'll give who should I call?
Either you can email us both,
okay.
if you wish, and
Cool.
one of us will get back to you.
I'll give one of you a call. I just had a follow-up question about the fees. I noticed they're around €7,000. How does that work? Because that just says 1 year. How does that work when you're part-time? Is it split between two or is it double?
So maybe I'll just add that. So actually, if you choose to apply for the part-time, you're actually applying for a postgraduate cert in the first stage, and you're basically paying the 50% approximately for a PG cert. And then you actually have the choice to pause at that point. But you can then obviously move on to part two, where it's an add-on. So it's essentially like you're doing two courses that one builds upon the other, Declan.
Okay, cool.
And you're basically paying it 50-50 more or less. There might be a small difference because there's a small administrative fee that's included in to split it over 2 years.
As long as it's not double, then it's
all
good.
No.
Maybe a bit of a silly question, but have you ever had anyone do it full time and still hold down a full-time job?
Yeah, our candidates, we didn't offer this part-time last year, so our candidates that have gone through the program last year were actually full-time employed, and that's where we encourage the coursework to reflect upon your day job in some way. So you have to do a stakeholder engagement activity, so look internally or look at what you're doing and who you're engaging with. That's really what is a way to kind of benefit your organization or who you're working with and the course.
Okay, cool. Thank you for answering those questions. I'll give one of you a shout. Maybe I don't know. Maybe later today, or are you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, okay, cool. Sure. Drop us an email and we'll organize something. And also, Declan, just maybe it's more for everyone else as well. You aren't from an engineering background, and a lot of people who take our diplomas, not just this diploma, as Julie highlighted, there's a lot of diplomas. What they're trying to do is enter the engineering world. And this is a stepping stone towards, I suppose, gaining an understanding of how engineering systems work and the engineer's approach, as opposed to the environmental science. Both meritable, but both quite different as well.
Well, I know my way around a boiler house and stuff. After all these years, you just pick certain things up, you know?
Yeah, touche. Okay,
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to mention, following up from that, John, in relation to the qualifications, so the other postgraduate diplomas that we offer at Trinity College Dublin are accredited with Engineers Ireland. Now, this particular diploma, because it's only in its second year running, is not yet, but I suppose we have to go through a number of years of the program before it can be, but that's very much the plan. I think in the next year or so, we will be able to apply for accreditation with Engineers Ireland. John, I don't know if you know about, if you can comment in relation to maybe students who graduate before its accreditation and then it receives accreditation, what happens there?
Yes, it's a retrospective task, really. And we've just gone through the accreditation process on our previous programs with, I would say, with ease. And I'm very confident that this program meets the standards that we set in Trinity in our engineering programs to meet the same. So it's not something I have any concerns over. It's just, it's a not every year. So we just have to wait. But then the course is accredited retrospectively. There's one or two questions. So Natasha, I might invite you to turn on your mic if you want, because I thought your question is very relevant for, if you're still there, hold on a moment. If you're okay to ask the question, otherwise, so you have control now if you want to turn on your mic, otherwise I'll ask the question.
Yeah, hi, this is Natasha. Well, I'm banking professional, but I'm kind of trying to move into, focus on environmental projects like within a bank, like financing that. So, and I'm just like wondering if that course is suitable for that.
I suppose, Natasha, what aspect of financial, what's the focus? Because we've had people from other banks or coming to Trinity to undertake, say, our sustainable energy diploma in the past, and they were in roles of responsibility around sustainability. I suppose just to understand maybe what direction you might take before either of us might give the incorrect answer.
Well, I'm actually like keeping my options open. So what I'm kind of thinking about, like if like to finance sustainable energy projects, that's one direction. The other one is probably move into the energy sustainability compliance area. And also I'm probably looking for an option, like it's kind of like in the future, maybe to work for international companies, like doing finance projects in different countries, like with IFSC, EBRD, those type of things.
Okay, that's something I would have to think about, because I don't think we've had anybody with that sort of banking sector focus before. Now, one thing, like our core modules, like energy management and efficiency. Forgive me, the term sustainable had in my head. Those modules have provided a good basis of understanding of energy systems, and which you may not have. Then you can design certain projects around, or select certain projects around looking and exploring the financial impacts of them, their life cycles, etc., and also the risks associated with them. We wouldn't be doing any financial economic type work in depth, so I don't know if that's hugely important to you, Natasha. It would be more technical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have all the financial background I need. Like, I know everything about finance. I've been working in the area for a long time. But if I want to move to financing sustainability projects, like energy projects, I need to have like more specific knowledge. So it's just like before I was working for commercial property, specialized financial institution, where majority of my colleagues who were financing projects, they had engineering degrees in property and constructions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Julie.
I would think certainly, Natasha, I mean, as you say, you have the knowledge and skill set in the financial side of things, and I suppose it's giving you that additional skills and knowledge. I suppose I can give you another example. So you mentioned sustainable energy, renewable energy, and certainly that would be a very obvious example of where I suppose knowing more about technologies and that sector and energy efficiency would benefit and allow you to apply your financial skill set in a new area. I suppose in terms of the topic around climate change adaptation and the climate risk and impacts of climate change on various sectors across the built environment, across other sectors, there's huge scope there for people with financial backgrounds working in the space. So understanding the risks across the sectors, and then I suppose I suppose looking at risk, and then in terms of financing adaptation measures, who pays for it? Do you pay for it now? Implement adaptation measures, flood defense measures now, or do you wait 20 years? So I would see that as a huge potential growth area in terms of people with financial background to move into in the broader I suppose theme of climate action. So I can certainly think of examples, and I think what this program would give you would be the additional insight and knowledge and skills within those more technical areas that would then allow you to apply your skill set within a new, I suppose, if you were looking to forge a new career path. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Natasha. And if you want to follow up, as indeed anyone, our emails have been left up on the screen to allow that. And also this is being recorded as well and be shared with you all after. I think we may have covered a lot of the questions, Julie. I know there's been several asking about the fees, doing it online and remotely from outside the country. There was one question about, two comments about physics, and also around having the mathematical capacity. I responded, but Julie, I suppose your thoughts and comments on that as well. Just I feel like yes, it is an engineering program, but we have a lot of it's a lot more pragmatic, and we don't go into maybe depth of theory around traditional engineering as indeed maybe our structures colleagues would, and so on. So I don't know if you want to comment on that before we close.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for me, I suppose. the eligibility criteria for this program in terms of a STEM or related background generally would, you would assume that the applicant would have the required skill set in terms of mathematical background, mathematical and possibly other sciences background. Yeah, I would say it wouldn't be a huge concern in terms of the course content. I think because we do cover a broad range of subjects, I suppose, and then there is scope for individuals, if they're working in a particular project, to drill into more detail and apply, so if they have more stronger mathematical skills, and say they're doing an energy assessment or something. But I think broadly speaking, it wouldn't be a huge concern of mine. I suppose if the applicant doesn't have that prerequisite in terms of the STEM or related discipline degree, and they have maybe an alternative route where it is upon review it is accepted that it would need to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. But I would not be overly concerned about your mathematical or the physics side of it.
Just one last question that came in from Margaret, who can't join on her microphone because she's on the move, just around considering changing as a civil engineer, changing career to some degree, or having broader options around working with communities, around climate action groups, climate impacts. All I would say around that is that the module deals with the technical. We deal with the social and human element through working with psychology, and also we do some stakeholder engagement activities in our own modules in engineering. There's the economic and environmental. So we do touch upon all facets that allow you to move into that kind of working with communities, because it's not just about technical knowledge. You have to have kind of that more holistic sustainability focus. So that's just a comment there. Julie, you've shared a link just before we close in the chat.
Yeah, so that's the link to details of the fees for TCD courses. So if you click on that, you can click on postgraduate courses, and you can scroll down to all of the courses within the faculty of including engineering, and you can find our course, and it'll give you the breakdown there for EU and non-EU fees. And as John mentioned, so it's one amount that's given for 1 year, but if you choose the part-time option, that's roughly split 50-50. No link appearing to us. Oh.
Okay. It should be there on the chat. It works for me, so hopefully everyone else can see it. No, you've shared it, Julie. I hope Connor in the chat, just have a look, not the Q&A, but the chat.
Yeah, so there's probably should have clarified that there's Q&A and then there's a chat.
But Julie, I think there's no other questions, so I'll let you.
I think we'll wrap it up there because it's 2 o'clock. So just to say a big thank you for everyone who joined today. I hope it was useful. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have further queries, questions in relation to the course. And we look forward to hopefully welcoming some of you at TCD next September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.